This presentation is about the foundation of organic strategy, fertile goals, and positive tactics. This presentation includes, on fertile goals, definition, examples, and ways of identifying them, and for positive tactics, definition, examples, and ways of identifying them. Coming first in this presentation is a discussion of fertile goals. The definition of a fertile goal is a goal moving human beings from material concerns or self-oriented gain towards anything transcendent, any contribution to the common good, any value such as freedom or justice, and anything altruistic. One well-known example of a fertile goal was held by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of South Africa. After apartheid, there was recognition that many atrocities had been committed. The goal of the commission was truth rather than justice, and so they gave amnesty so that stories could be told. A fertile goal can be identified in two ways. The first is to ask the questions. How can the goal be described? Material, more or less, altruistic, more or less, selfish, more or less, unmaterialistic, more or less. You can counterestimate the number of people who benefit, or you can counterestimate the number of people who are suffering. It is also possible to identify the fertile goal by placing it on a spectrum of altruism versus selfishness or transcendence versus materialism. Here is the spectrum along which you may place the goal. We now turn to positive tactics. A positive tactic is any tactic which brings more life and more dignity. It moves individuals, groups, nations, states away from self-oriented material progress towards a common or transcendent good. Examples of positive tactics include passive resistance, nonviolence, and civil disobedience, all of which were practiced by the Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. As with the fertile goal, positive tactics can be identified by asking a series of questions. Can the tactic be described as material, more or less, altruistic, more or less, selfish, more or less, and unmaterialistic, more or less? You can counterestimate the number of people who benefit, or you can counterestimate the number of people who are suffering. It is possible to identify positive tactics by placing them on a spectrum of altruism versus selfishness, or transcendence versus materialism. And here is a graph of the spectra along which positive tactics may be placed. As we have seen, fertile goals and positive tactics are the very foundation for organic strategy.